There are places on this Earth that were never meant to be found, places that satellites weren't supposed to photograph, places so strange, so deeply wrong, that the people who discovered them couldn't look away. And yet, there they are, frozen in time, coordinates burned into the internet forever. You don't need a plane ticket, you don't need a passport. All you need is a laptop, an internet connection, and maybe the courage to look. Welcome to the strangest tour on Earth. We start at the bottom of the world, Antarctica, the coldest, most isolated continent on the planet, where the wind is loud enough to drown out a jet engine and the nearest human being might be 300 miles away. But zoom into this stretch of frozen coastline and look closely. That is a ship, a massive vessel, partially submerged in the ice, its hull jutting out from the white like something that crash-landed rather than drifted. The questions come fast. How long has it been there? Did anyone survive? And why does it look, from this angle, less like a boat and more like it descended from above? The internet exploded, forums filled with theories about secret military operations, forgotten expeditions, even extraterrestrial craft hidden in the one place no one dares to go. The truth is a real historical shipwreck, likely dating back to the age of polar exploration, when men sailed into the unknown in vessels completely unprepared for what waited. The ice preserved it. The satellite found it. And now it lives forever in the imagination of anyone who's ever typed those coordinates at 2 in the morning. But we're not done with Antarctica yet. Still in the cold, still in the white, because zoom into a different section of this same frozen plain, and something impossible appears. A face, 2 hollow eyes, a defined brow, a jawline, a nose. The proportions of a human face at a scale so enormous it could only be seen from space. People lost their minds over this one. Was it a monument left by a lost civilization? A warning from something that predated recorded history? A signal meant to be seen from above? The theories got dark, and honestly, some of them were poetic in a way that facts rarely are. The reality is a phenomenon called pareidolia, our brain's hardwired need to find faces in random patterns. The same instinct that makes you see shapes in clouds, shadows, erosion, and the brutal contrast of the Antarctic landscape created ridges that hit the human eye like a portrait. But knowing that doesn't make it less haunting, because you cannot unsee it. The face is still there, staring up, waiting. Now we leave the cold and travel somewhere that should feel ordinary, Australia. Warm, coastal, familiar, until you look from above. Growing out of a bay along the Australian coastline is a forest, floating. Trees suspended above the surface of the water, hovering as though the laws of gravity decided to take the afternoon off. Naturally, the internet assumed the worst. A glitch in the simulation, a portal, evidence that physics were becoming optional. The real explanation is both simpler and more beautiful. These are mangrove trees, an extraordinary ecosystem that evolved to grow directly in salt water, roots submerged beneath the tide while the canopy reaches above. Seen from satellite at certain water levels and lighting conditions, they appear to float, to defy. They have been doing it for millions of years. They were just waiting for a satellite to notice, from nature's illusions to something far more human. Tokyo. Dense, organized, one of the most photographed cities on Earth. And yet, zoom into this particular street corner, and something is deeply wrong. The people don't look right. Their heads are replaced, not metaphorically, literally. Where a human face should be, there are birds, pigeons, dozens of ordinary Tokyo residents walking, standing, going about their day, with the heads of pigeons grafted onto their bodies by a camera that had no idea what it was doing. Google Street View captures images in sequences and stitches them together algorithmically. When a pigeon flew directly in front of the lens at the precise moment of capture, the software mapped the bird's head onto the nearest human body in the frame. The result was an entire block of pigeon-headed citizens, immortalized forever, looking completely unbothered by their situation. Tokyo, as always, remains inexplicable. But not every mystery gets a funny answer. Rural England. Rolling green countryside, hedgerows, everything peaceful and pastoral. Until you look from above, pressed into the fields below are formations of staggering precision. Circles within circles, interlocking spirals. Fractals so mathematically exact that engineers have studied them for decades. Farmers wake to find them overnight, appearing between sunset and sunrise as though drawn by a compass the size of a cathedral. The mainstream explanation is human artists, teams working in darkness with planks and ropes and practiced choreography. And many formations have been claimed by their creators, but not all of them. There are formations no one has ever claimed. Formations in locations physically impossible to access without being seen crossing open fields for miles. Formations written in a mathematical language that took researchers months to decode. The fields don't offer explanations. They just keep growing new ones. Now Peru, the Nazca Desert. A dry, windless plateau where almost nothing erodes. And so what was drawn here 2,000 years ago is still here. Lines miles long, perfectly straight, removed from the reddish surface stone to reveal pale earth beneath, a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, a figure so strange and elongated that people have been calling it the astronaut for 50 years. The civilization that made these had no aircraft, no balloons, no satellites. And yet, they created something that could only be fully understood from the sky. Who were they drawing it for? 2,000 years later, we still don't have a final answer. Remote Kazakhstan. Empty steppes stretching for hundreds of miles in every direction. And there, carved into the earth, a pentagram. A massive, unmistakable five-pointed star, visible only from space, sitting in the middle of nowhere, as though someone wanted to make sure only the sky could see it. The internet went to dark places immediately. The real explanation is the remnants of a Soviet-era park designed in the shape of a star, the central symbol of the USSR. Planted with trees that darkened over decades, making the outline dramatically visible from above. But here's what the explanation doesn't address. Why does a park need to be legible from orbit? Why does a public recreational space require satellite-scale precision? The Soviet Union kept many secrets. This might just be design, or it might be something built for eyes that were never meant to be human. And now, France. A quiet street, an ordinary apartment building, the kind of place that exists in 100 European cities. Except there is a balcony. And on that balcony, a blur, not a glitch, not a compression artifact, a deliberate blur applied by Google officially, as part of their privacy protection system. The same blur applied over faces and license plates. But this isn't a face, this isn't a plate. This is a figure, standing, still, on a balcony in France on an ordinary afternoon. And someone decided the world shouldn't see what it is. Almost certainly, a person who exercised their legal right to be removed. But what were they doing in that moment, when the camera drove past? What was visible in the original frame that made removing it feel necessary? We will never know. The blur stays, the figure stays, the question stays. Tell us in the comments, what do you think was on that balcony? This is the world we live in, every inch of it photographed, every corner cataloged. Every coordinate locked in a database, accessible to anyone with a connection and a curiosity. And still, it surprises us. Ships in the ice, faces in the tundra, forests that float, people with pigeon heads, stars drawn for the sky, lines drawn for no one we can name. A figure blurred out of existence on an ordinary afternoon. The satellite sees everything, but seeing everything is not the same as understanding anything. There are more coordinates out there, more mysteries, more shapes that the Earth drew for reasons we haven't decoded yet. And we will be back to find them. If this was your kind of rabbit hole, hit like, share it with someone who'd lose sleep over it, and we'll see you at the next set of coordinates.